This is Coda Radio, episode 601 for December 30th, 2024. Hey friends, welcome in to Jupiter Broadcasting's weekly talk show, taking a pragmatic look at the art and the business of software development and the world of technology. My name is Chris, and joining me every single week, healthy or sick, strong or weak, it's our host, Mr. Dominic. Hello, Mike.
Oh, that was pretty close to wedding vows.
Yeah, through sickness and through, when you're drunk, that kind of thing.
All kinds of things, right? It's, when I'm down a rabbit hole at 2 a.m. watching RFK Jr. videos.
For us, it's December 30th, but for a lot of the folks listening, it's the New Year. So we should probably also say Happy New Year to everybody out there.
Happy New Year. We're predicting lovely things for you.
Yeah, this is our last episode of 2024 as we record. And of course, this week, NVIDIA is trying to get everybody excited about their stock for 2025 because, Mike, the market is really scared that they cannot pump like they pumped AI in 2024. I'm not kidding. I've been watching a lot of doomsayer analysis saying that, oh boy, I think the excitement's over. So NVIDIA, they're thinking ahead. And they're starting now in 2024 getting the market excited about humanoid robots. And NVIDIA says they aim to provide advanced computing power necessary for their development. They're going to essentially create virtual environments and simulations that they can run at 100x, 1,000x times through these robots and train them through scenarios super fast. They have this Omniverse platform that they're going to do this with that they say creates realistic simulations to train the robots in real-world deployment situations. Jensen predicts that robots the boom will be akin to the rise of AI technologies like ChatGPT.
Oh.
Going to transform manufacturing, healthcare, and home services, he says.
I actually thought this was a joke.
And Elon's big on the robots thing, too, for Tesla.
It just seems so very far away.
I mean, it seems like It seems like a harder job than self-driving cars, unless you really focus on very particular manufacturing tasks, which we already have robots that do that.
Well, are we talking like Rosie from the Jetsons? Is that?
Yeah, so he said initially manufacturing and healthcare, but then expanded out to like home care services. And I mean, let's not joke around. It's also for security, right? These would be incredibly intimidating for security. Imagine the airport TSA terminal protected by 3 of these things. That's intimidating.
That might be better, actually. Hang on, I might be changing my mind.
I mean, police that have like a robot in the car with them. I don't know. That sounds pretty freaky to me, man. Like, that's where I think these things are really being built for. That, and of course, military application. Let's not fool ourselves. And then healthcare, no doubt, and manufacturing. But it's interesting to see Tesla and NVIDIA trying to basically get the AI multiplier, because you need all of the things that they've been promising about AI for the last 2 years in order to get robots, right? So it doesn't disregard the AI hype. You can keep the AI pump going while building on top of the pump and start pumping robots. And of course, self-driving.
Pumpception.
Yeah, I think it's actually a very clever move and could play for a little bit. And it's funny how he's even telecasting it in a way. I think it's equivalent to ChatGPT. Look, it's another AI boom. He's just coming out there and saying it too. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, audience. First of all, I have a question for you and the audience. Boostin, what price would you pay to lease or buy a robot if it would mow the lawn, clean your gutters, wash the dishes? Would you pay $800 a month, $1,000, $10,000? Honestly, write in and Boostin and tell me. And also, I'd like to know what you don't want to see these robots doing. But Mike, if say these things were safe, I don't know, whatever. Let's just putting the privacy and security stuff aside, because, I think if you would have told us 15 years ago people are putting lady tubes with microphones in their homes, nobody would have believed you. So let's just go, we're ahead 10 years. People have robots in the home. These robots are doing the dishes, they're vacuuming. Man, maybe they're even prepping food. Let's really put the value out here. You come home to a made meal from a robot chef. What would you honestly pay for that?
Not much.
I think if you get it to $1,000, it's a mass market product, because that's less than a housekeeper. If you think about it from a rich person's perspective.
Right. I mean, I guess I'm having a hard time with the AI is rapidly becoming a money pit. How would this not just be digging more into the pit?
Will you fake it till you make it?
You mean like Elon having people dressed up in robot costumes and
like being told we would have robot taxis 2 years ago, paying for your Tesla, that kind of thing, but they're still working on robot taxis. But you keep talking about it long enough, maybe you get there.
I guess.
I think there's a huge market for robots. Like I said, healthcare, security,
the defense all the way. I mean,
defense.
That's where the margins are fat enough that you can absorb lots of losses,
and you can spend a lot on R&D.
Right. Once you get. I guess it's a B2B thing, if it's true.
Initially.
I'm less hot on this.
It's initially a B2B thing. It's initially a manufacturing thing. It's initially a healthcare, like they did cleanup, right? It's that kind of stuff. Then it comes to the McDonald's, right? Now you're in the kitchen. But I think ultimately, this product for the consumer is an app. An app on your phone. It's a premium-looking app with a premium-looking service. You subscribe right there in the app. And then, in the next week, a robot gets shipped to your house. They walk you through a concierge kind of introductionary process. There's how-to videos on how to interact with the robot. You can set commands and prompts inside the app. It uploads it to the robot. And now the robot's getting your HelloFresh deliveries and making your meals. And it's $1,000 a month. And it's all through an app. I think it happens. And I think it's, you're right. It's not the first product, but it's like the 5th or 6th generation product. That's what they're going for here. But they're thinking, and see what you're saying is, I don't see how this happens. What they're saying is, this is a 10 to 20 year thing. So we're just getting started. Okay,
right. Well, sure. If you want to John Syracuse me and say on an infinite timeline.
Right. That's what they're doing, though. That's what they're saying. Look at Sam Altman. They've formally announced they're going to restructure it to a public benefit company with shares because they need to raise, quote, substantially more capital.
Yeah, I don't, just on Sam Altman, and I say this with respect to the Lord of Latvia, or Latvia, I forgot what it is. The man is starting to resemble the real Doctor Doom. Am I the only one feeling this?
There are definitely like undertones of a fantastic movie villain character here.
Right.
Great movie. Just a great movie one day. Like the creator of AI, he could be represented as such a evil character in a movie.
Or if for our Watchmen fans, Adrian Veidt, right?
And I could imagine a scenario where we have a Hollywood movie. Sam Altman, is portrayed as the founder and creator of AI, which of course is ridiculous. And Elon, depending on how history reflects on him, is either a villain or a hero in the story. Like the whole thing is, they're all almost archetype type characters, and part of that's got to be public messaging.
Elon is turning into the ultimate dare after school commercial. Don't do ketamine, kids. It's just like bad.
Yeah, especially ketamine and social media.
Yeah,
don't do them both at the same time. Pro tip, what you should do is join us live, typically on Tuesdays, noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. You can go to coder.show/live. And we also plug it into our calendar at jupiterbroadcasting.com/calendar. And if you have a Podcasting 2.0 app, we just put it right there in your feed. And you'll see a pending, and you'll see when we go live. It's real convenient. And we love having you there. It gives the show a nice energy. Thank you, everybody who does join us live. Shout out to our live chat right now and everybody listening live, and to our members who get a special recording of the live stream. So were you surprised to see the H-1 visa debate heat back up after a topic that 8 years ago on this show we talked about? Maybe.
Yeah, remember me railing at Mickey Mouse? I did it first, DeSantis. I did it first.
Yeah, you really did. And not a favorite topic on the show, but boy, did it come up, big now. It's like now everybody's interested in all of a sudden. All of a sudden, it's like a huge topic. And I have a clip I could play, or do you want to summarize what's been going on? Or I could play this clip and they could summarize it.
Why don't you play the clip? I think there's a lot of angles here. So, yeah, let's start with the clip.
We'll start. Yeah, okay. Right, very good. Very good.
We got a battle brewing across Washington and Wall Street when it comes to immigration, particularly on immigration's impact on Silicon Valley and jobs. Megan Casella joining us now with that story. Megan.
Hey, Brian, good morning. So this is a showdown between the big tech wing of Trump's Republican Party, led by Elon Musk, and the far-right MAGA wing of the party. And the debate is over H-1B visas, those ones that are reserved for highly skilled foreign workers in fields like math and engineering. And this all started with a far-right activist, Laura Loomer, criticizing a Trump appointee's stance on expanding skilled immigration. She called it alarming that career leftists, as she called them, were joining the administration with views in opposition to Trump's America First agenda. And that then started a fight with Musk, with Vivek Ramaswamy, with David Sachs, who's the incoming AI czar, all of them saying that the U.S. needs these H-1B visas and H-1B workers in order to stay competitive. They also believe that Trump is on their side in this. He said this summer that anyone who graduates from college in the U.S. should automatically get a green card to stay. Now, guys, these visas aren't a huge part of overall.
I'll get to the numbers here in a second. Then Trump later came out with like a truth or a tweet or something saying that he was on Elon's side. He's a fan of the H-1B.
They're capped at $85,000 per year, but they are used primarily by tech companies. Amazon applied for more H-1B visas in 2024 than any other company.
3,871.
Other big names are among the top users as well. Tesla applied for 742 of these this year. You can see
Microsoft 1,264, Google 1,058, Apple 864, and then she said Tesla 742. So you got you got sort of the Elon, Vivek side that say the H-1B visa program has benefited them directly, and it's benefited their company. They've been able to bring in super talented individuals. But I think we should probably zoom out here for a second and appreciate the moment of time that we live in. The people are pissed. I mean, the election is I think a barometer on that. But also, let us not forget, we saw huge tech layoffs in 2023 and 2024. I went and looked at the numbers. It starts really rolling in 2022. 2023 is a bloodbath in the tech market, and 2024 has been just about as bad as 2022. We would be talking about 2024 if 2023 wasn't so bad. Substantial layoffs. And, I think some of these folks are still looking for work. And they're watching this discussion about expanding the H-1B visa program. They're watching these tech companies say they have no other choice. They can't hire anybody. They can't find anybody. I mean, you can just look at posts on X and various social media platforms, and you can see the frustration among tech workers who feel like they've been bypassed. They wanted to get a job, and they got bypassed. And the reality is, it doesn't look good because this data is online. There is a database of the H-1B visa salaries, and the numbers are pretty staggering. So there's like this context that we live in right now where people are frustrated. They're frustrated with big tech. We've had 3 years of extremely hundreds of thousands, multiple hundreds of thousands last year, almost 200,000 the year before, and we're about 100 and something thousand this year. I mean, so we're talking a lot of people have lost their jobs, while the tech companies are saying, I can't seem to find anybody. So there's that context, which I think exploded. And you saw this back and forth where people are on social media, they're able to yell at billionaires who are saying they do need to bring these folks in. And then, of course, there is the human side of this where people are being brought in. They're getting paid a less competitive wage. And then if they don't perform or the company doesn't like them, they get laid off and they have basically 60 days to find another sponsor or they're out. They're no longer a legal citizen and they're out. They're no longer legal in the country, and they're out. They call it out of status. So you're getting paid crap, and you basically got to say thank you for it because otherwise you lose your job and you got to get out of the country. So there's that angle of it too. So where do we even start with this one?
There's a lot there, right? There's the anger. I think a lot of the anger is, people didn't expect this, but probably should have, right? I guess you have to start with what was going on, right? And this is why this really got me torqued up a couple of years ago. And that is that I'm going to use the Disney case because it's pretty egregious, and they've admitted it themselves. What they would do was lay a bunch of people off, eliminate the titles, come up with eerily similar titles, right? So instead of software engineer level 7 or level 2 or whatever, you're software developer level 7. And they would write the job description such that you had to be basically overqualified by a lot. But they would put the salary at a slightly more junior level. And this is not what is done now. Although if you look at that government website that you share in the doc, I might be wrong. I just may not have really been paying as much attention. But they would say, okay, you know, to be a web developer, right, a JavaScript developer at Disney, you have to have a master's degree in computer science. And that's madness to most, you know, American or Canadian or, you know, folks like that. But a lot of offshore people would gladly take the opportunity because they want to emigrate, right? They want to immigrate to, in this case, it would be Florida, America, or California. There are also, this is the much more common case, large firms that their entire business is to basically source H-1B IT people, including developers, to these companies, and they take a vig off of basically the delta between what the company would have paid and didn't pay. Now you might say, well, what if they're paying the same amount, roughly, right? The difference is, and we've seen this, you know, us uppity American developers, and we're Canadian, right? Whatever, tend to get mad at our employers and will like not work every Christmas and every, you know, Hanukkah, whatever, Easter, or we'll say we're not going to do a certain project, right? I mean, a key case of that is the Google engineers who wouldn't do the DoD stuff. I think they're brats, but that's just me. If you are employed on a contingency where should you lose your job, you have a very limited window to get another one, or you will be deported, that allows what is already an incredibly imbalanced power relationship to be even more abusive. Let's say you are a idiosyncratic gentleman from South Africa, and you like to yell and scream at your employees and require them to be, you know, what is it, all in, hyper, whatever the hell his stupid thing is, and you tend to treat people like shit. For instance, offering them horses if they sleep with you. Well, you kind of like a work base that is effectively afraid of you, right?
I want to touch on a couple of points that you made. So it's interesting because I missed this when it was happening because going down during the holiday. And so where I started is I went to X and I looked at some of the conversations, and I went to this public salary database, which we'll link to in the show notes. And I just started seeing a few trends. Like, so for example, T-Mobile's H-1Bs. In 2022, they had 555 positions open. In 2023, 416. In 2024, 3,117.
That's a jump and a half.
Here's the kicker. T-Mobile laid off around 10,000 Americans between 2022 and 2024 and increased their H-1B employees by 462%. So that stinks, right? But the other thing you said that I didn't really appreciate until I was going through the database is there are middleman companies that are doing massive sourcing for like 7-Eleven.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy like how many entries they have. I went through here. Apparently, we can't find any directors of pickleball. There's one in there, chocolate bakers at U.S. manufacturing companies, just baking at United Baking, an intern at the Oregon State University, 4 esports writer jobs, H1 jobs for Blizzard, 4 Catholic priests from 2 different megachurches, 5 different pastors for a 7-day Adventist church. I saw 2 dog trainer H-1B visa positions in there. This is a wild one. 19 different golf instructor or coach jobs that were H-1B visas. 9,200 Amazon warehouse worker H-1B visa jobs after they just laid a whole bunch off. More, quote, administrative assistant H-1Bs than I could possibly count. There's even a Chippendales dancer where they get a $900 base salary in Las Vegas that's an H-1B position. I mean, some of these are just wild. So clearly, the system is a little out of whack here. It seems obvious that we want to bring in talented folks, and we want them to be able to work in jobs and have a program for them to have a pathway to become a citizen. That seems agreeable. But then when you add in sort of this abuse of the system, where you're currently seeing companies like T-Mobile or Amazon in here, 9,200 Amazon warehouse workers, but, you know, like also sourcing pastors for churches, golf coaches,
yeah,
chocolate bakers, Chippendale dancers. This is out of control. And these are just some of the highlights, my friend. Just some of the highlights that I saw.
The grosser part of it that affects our audience is, I'm not going to name, there's several of these firms, but there's one that's really bad. What they do is, first of all, they're the vast majority of the IT and IT-oriented H-1Bs. It's not Apple, Google, Verizon. It's actually the middlemen. By a huge, if we're counting just total visas, by a huge margin. And they're straight contracting firms, right? They're they'll do dev for a fixed bid or whatever, and it's really easy to do a fixed bid when you can just slave drive your people. And I'm sorry, I hate to be like that, but it's just the truth. And I think it's tough for a lot of people who don't deal with more of the business side of things to understand how aggressive these offshoring companies or H-1B, I don't know, I call them brokers, but I think there's a difference between like the headhunters and the ones who actually hire the H-1Bs directly and just, basically they go to, hey, hi, Mr. CTO, would you like to downsize your payroll or fire your, very expensive domestic vendor? Wouldn't that look good on your promotion track, right? You cut a bunch of costs. Don't worry, We've got a ready-built team here, and they could work in your office. And if you're not happy with them, no problem. We'll swap them in and out like light bulbs. That is such a large percentage of what you're seeing with these layoffs that I'm a little surprised at how little the tech press. I guess because they feel it's prejudiced to kind of talk about this, but it's definitely concerning if you're someone who, you're not like you got out of college from MIT and worked at Google or the NSA, right? You're like your median, normal, what I would imagine the average listener of the show is. You're a dark matter developer, you're something like that. And yeah, you're not inventing the new blockchain algorithm. You're writing ASP.NET applications for line of business, software. Then your boss comes to you and says, yeah, we just got snookered by a firm that's charging 35-40% less than us because their wage scale is just different, right? They don't have some of the pain in the ass stuff that American companies have.
Yeah, I think we are kind of one of these. We're kind of one of these guys that have come down on our decision a long time ago, and sort of it's only gotten probably more reaffirmed as we have watched what's going on. And I'm always one for reevaluating. I think where I kind of ultimately land is it's a system that rightfully has criticism leveled at it, and I could see why people would be upset about that. I don't think it's the mega civil war people are making it out to be. I think it's a couple of rowdy folks on social media and Steve Banana who, is a little bit upset that he's not in the inner circle anymore, making a big deal about it. And I think there's probably more interest in driving a wedge between Trump, Elon, and Trump supporters than there is actually addressing this issue.
Well, can I fry some Pennsylvania Avenue bacon?
Dude, I can't believe you. I brought Pennsylvania bacon right here.
I'm pretty sure all this President Musk stuff is meant for Trump's eyes to piss him off.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Get him to throw a fit. Yeah, like intentional
I mean,
stuff.
it's a pretty clever tactic. If you're going to go after Trump, that's really the way to do it, right?
Right, you hit him in that soft underbelly of ego. That's where you go. But
that's what I think, yeah. It's going to be an interesting play to watch.
No, what's really funny is, because I still browse X, Twitter, whatever, watching all these very people who I know to be extremely hard right-wing, all of a sudden talking about, you're so racist. You just don't like them because they're Indian or they're Vietnamese or whatever. I'm like, bro, come on. We know who you really are. It's just how quickly these guys like just flip flop because Musk took a position.
Also, I think I know we started this topic with this sentiment, but I'm going to wrap it with this too to kind of bring it back together. This is not a new discussion. For the members that are listening to the source version, I played a clip from 2003. It's like the exact thing going on right now. Tech CEOs saying they desperately need to hire, workers who have been just laid off, pissed off that they say they need to hire somebody outside the country. I mean, yeah, I could have played that clip. I played it for the members. I could have played it and they would have thought it was from yesterday. So this is, and then we talked about it, early on in the show, especially as you were seeing it in the context of small business, and it's been unresolved since. And you can look at the numbers; it seems to be expanding in a way that I think the critics were probably right, even in that 2003 clip. We need a system for this, but it needs to be a system that services everyone. I don't know. I'd love to hear the audience's thoughts. Please boost in. And what did we miss? What did we get wrong? Or what do you think could be the solution? Well, I hate it. You hate it. Even the chair of the Federal Reserve hates it. But it's true. Inflation is here to stay for years. If you're a Bitcoiner, or maybe you're Bitcoin curious looking for a long-term inflation hedge, you're probably looking for a trustworthy and easy way to buy Bitcoin and store it safely. There's a lot of options. Not all of them are very good. So let me introduce you to the Bitcoin Well. It's a non-custodial Bitcoin platform. It puts you in control. Go to coder.show/Bitcoin to get started. That gives us the credit for your visit. Now, why the Bitcoin Well? Well, I had a chance to meet them over the holiday break. And what I learned is they have built the entire platform around you having custody of your keys. Your Bitcoin, your keys, you're always in control of your assets at all time. You buy and sell directly from your private wallet, and they support Lightning and on-chain. So when you start with the Bitcoin Well, you start with self-custody, which means you avoid having to move over later. And when you have self-custody, there's a peace of mind that comes with that. Bitcoin's a long-term holding asset, 4 years or longer, and things can be a little uncertain during those periods. Self-custody gives you a peace of mind that is just massive. Bitcoin Well is based in Canada. They've got a wide range of services to the locals. I was extremely impressed. And they're introducing more and more of those now to the U.S. for a little while now. Like last week, they just rolled out bill pay right here in the States. You could actually do bill pay with your Bitcoin from your Lightning wallet, from your self-custodial Lightning wallet. It's really awesome. They also have the Bitcoin Well Infinite, which is a premium over-the-counter solution for high-volume transactions, like family offices or businesses that are ready to just do a large transaction. They have great pricing, lots of educational resources, but the most important thing is a focus on you owning your Bitcoin Well. The Bitcoin Well is redefining how we can interact with Bitcoin, peer-to-peer money the way it was meant to be. So head over to coder.show/Bitcoin to learn more and get started. It's the Bitcoin Well, the way Bitcoin was meant to be. Go to coder.show/Bitcoin. Looking into the future, Mike, it's the year 2025, which probably is today as people are listening. And we had a few things we wanted to talk about. I brainstormed a couple. I don't really love any of them, so I'd love to start with yours.
So I only have one big prediction because I think we've discussed a lot of this stuff before, and I need a more pithy term for this. I freely admit, but I'm calling it the rise of the AI-assisted super execs. And what
like a play on the 10x or 100x developer AI assistant.
You know what?
Developer?
I should have just said 10x exec. God damn it! Change that.
Yeah,
it's so good.
The 10x exec. Oh my God, this is brilliant. The narrative will shift from developers to administration and CEO.
Well, this is something I would say about halfway through 24, and all my major clients, they all have a guy, in one case a gal, who is like, I have one guy's a Power BI power user. But he's not a developer. But he's two are Excel power users, and the one is a Power BI power user, right? And what they've been able to do is things that they would have had to commission, like, hey, like, can you guys just throw together a very plain, simple looking, dashboard page for whatever it is, right? Insert business metrics here. They have been able, with the assistance of ChatGPT, to do the integrations themselves. They've become their own Alice in a lot of ways, to the point where literally like 2 weeks ago, I SSH'd it to one of their servers to do something, just like a quick updating a package that, how everybody knows how this goes, right? You get a notification that, oh, we found a security flaw on such and such, you have to upgrade it. And there's like a million Power BI things running in the background, like little Python scripts that were pretty obviously generated in ChatGPT that are hooking into this guy's Power BI, and in the other case, the gal's Excel. And just, we're calling Postgres. We're getting the data. We're getting our report done. We don't need a bundle.
And putting it together for them.
And I got to tell you something. They all three of them went on the same journey where they started off needing a lot of hand-holding, right? Hey, I got this Python script. Can you look at it? Whatever. Work with them. I don't think I've been asked for any help by any of them in 2 months, maybe. maybe a month and a half. Maybe I'm being generous to them, but I think this is going to be the ability to understand how to use ChatGPT and other AI tools. I know you're partial to Claude to basically do data processing, data reporting without the use of an external tool that you have to pay for or an outside vendor is going to be something that sets these are all, and all of them they're different businesses, but they're all like, business type, right? They're all like basically, they're executives. They're what you think of when you think of a business executive. It's going to set these guys apart. This is going to be.
This is so great.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, and I could see the narrative especially applying to small business owners, the 10X small business owner.
Oh, yeah.
And you imagine, too, over 2025, we see the narrative shifting to agents, and these agents are topic experts, and they could be a topic expert on your business or on your product. Because I've been playing around with this. I've built custom for, I don't remember what episode it was, but recently we did an episode, where we went back and looked at some of our previous takes. And I think I mentioned this. I built a custom GPT agent that pulled in all of the show notes and the RSS feed for Coder Radio.
Oh, that's right. You did, yeah.
And kind of became a Coder Radio expert GPT. And then I just had a conversation with essentially the RSS feed. But it saved me, I'm not kidding, probably 8 hours of work down into 1 or 2 hours. And when we're prototyping ideas, the ability to generate images really quick, super useful. Then I could toss that to an artist and they have an idea or a concept of what I'm looking for. Custom GPTs that are trained on accounting knowledge and books have helped me formulate questions to go ask my actual accountant that I couldn't verbalize before. And so I'm accomplishing things and looking at possibilities for the business structure that I'd never considered because I didn't know how to even verbalize it to somebody who's an expert on this stuff. Then, because the language barrier is just too huge for me. And so it's doing that for me. Like I would have had to, in the past I was like, do I hire a business consultant and ask them these things and then they tell me what I need to work out with an accountant? And it's worked really well. So I could see this narrative where if you had a agent or a custom GPT trained on your business, on your environment, on your HR database, on your product knowledge base, the executive now becomes more empowered, or the small business person.
Absolutely.
Oh, I like this. Plus, it would play so well into the market's narrative of 2025 is going to be a year of mid-cap stocks, where they're hoping the consolidation of the Magnificent Seven sort of spreads out into smaller businesses. And the way they see that happening is somehow AI begins entering the products of small businesses, and maybe this would be the narrative that does it. The market loves it. They want it bad.
All the 2025 stuff where you're seeing on I don't know if anybody else is lame like me and watches CNBC, but a lot of it's assuming AI, right? There's this big asterisk.
Yeah.
Just seems, yeah. I don't know. I'm still, but this will definitely be a thing. This is,
I like it.
Yeah. It's already happening. So
I think the question is how long does it last into 2025? Does it make it all through 2025 or do we get midway and the bottom falls out? I think so I'll get into my predictions now. I think that's what happens with Apple. I think Apple starts 2025 pretty strong, not necessarily from a product standpoint, but talk of the richest company ever, as their stock buyback and services investment has paid off and their market cap has grown exponentially and their stock price is up. I think that sort of fizzles out, though, as maybe, post WWDC, they fail to impress and the market begins to deflate around Apple. So I think the Apple starts strong in 2025, and then they sort of deflate. Now, it could be Apple on their own, or there could be a lot of companies that are writing the AI narrative at that point that begin to run out of steam. There's a few sort of bigger macro things going on around the same time that if they don't play out right could also lead to that. But I think we'll see. But that's my prediction for Apple. For AI-generated code tools, I think you're going to see big pushes saying that they can generate 50% of production-ready code. I think you're going to see numbers thrown out there that AI-generated code is getting closer to ready for production. And along with that narrative will be AI-assisted bug hunting. Help you find bugs with 90% accuracy and things like that. They're going to throw these numbers. I think they're going to start quantifying it with numbers. 90% accuracy. Reduce QA time by 30%. This kind of stuff. They're going to, we're going to start getting quantifications, perhaps. What do you think?
Oh, I'm surprised we're not seeing more of the bug hunting stuff already.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I thought it would materialize this year, so I pumped it. I mean, I think you're seeing some basic stuff, but I think it's going to be a real product category. What do you think of this one? I've noticed some of the KDE Plasma developers are talking about this. We've heard Apple mention this. Carbon-aware development. So environmental concerns lead to emergence of, say, quote, carbon-aware programming languages and frameworks. Or at least optimizing your code for energy efficiency becomes a focus for 2025.
I don't think so.
All right. I'm not super confident on that one.
No. I mean, maybe there's some maybe for Apple you do it. But
Well, you know where I see that play out? Is there's all this talk right now about the energy demands for AI and how much power and about how we're going to reinvest in nuclear any moment now because of the demands of AI. And so I could see kind of some tech companies virtue signaling, and I could see open source projects that are more inclined to these kinds of ideals sort of have a backlash to this AI and crypto power usage by going all in on like energy efficient code design and, energy aware applications, and kind of like a backlash to all of this energy usage by AI.
maybe. I mean, I maybe they announce it, but does it just become a thing that's a marketing thing? And
Yeah, maybe. Okay, I got a last couple around them out. I think it's going to be a big year for stable coins and crypto payments of various kinds. So I think there's a lot of opportunities there for niche developers. Leave it at that. I think we're finally going to see proper cloud integration, some sort of subscription-based CI/CD platform built into Apple's entire pipeline from Xcode down to iOS and macOS.
oh, of course, you got to juice that services revenue. Come on.
Yep, exactly, buddy. So I think we'll see that announced at WWDC. What do you think of this one? I threw this one out there. I think GitHub/Microsoft perhaps implements a new feature, like a flag on your account or your repository, really, that says this is a GPL code. Everything in here is GPL. You can't, or don't use this for AI training. Like, you'll be able to set these flags per repository.
So to shield GPL code from AI training.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I think if somebody sues, that would be a remedy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, sometime in 2025, we see it. That's my prediction.
I wonder how hard that is. I guess it's not hard. It's just a flag, don't scan me, right? Like a robot TXT.
Exactly. And then, it's up to all of the scanners, but at least GitHub can say they've done something.
Well,
right?
I mean, all right, you've inspired another one for me.
Okay.
I think we're going to see even tighter integration between GitHub and VS Code and Copilot to the point where it becomes a disadvantage to not use VS Code.
Oh, interesting.
Like, for example, Copilot will be better in VS Code than it is in, say, PyCharm or RubyMine.
All right. That's a good one. Boost in your predictions as well.
Make it so.
We want to hear what you think, and we'll read them in the
By the way, that would
episode.
be the extending part of Embrace, Extend, Extinguish. Just saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be kind of, if there was going to be another shoe to drop in the strategy, that does seem like it would be it. The question is, do they drop that shoe? And how do they not?
I think they have to.
Right. They got shareholders after all. They got shareholders.
4 boosts to go.
Speaking of boosts, we got some great boosts to get into. Let's start with our baller booster this week, who is Devator, who came in with 300,000 sats.
Hey, Rich Lobster!
That is fantastic. Thank you, sir. You are our champion. For you, a little macOS startup. Yeah! Okay!
I feel so carefree.
I know. Oh, it's like a new computer fresh. 600 for 600. Thanks for all your work and coverage. Seems like 500 episodes was just episode 500 was just last week. I know, right? It does. This 500 to 600 went real fast, Mike.
It did. This was
400 to 500 took a while.
Yeah, it's fine. Well, I think we had so much craziness going on the last 100 episodes that
Woo!
Yeah, we don't find ourselves agonizing over what we're going to talk about anymore.
Yeah, I suppose that's the sign, huh? Moving quick. Thanks, Dev. Really appreciate that great boost. Bobby Pin came in with 20,000 sats. On the topic of real-world AI usage, I've been using Perplexity for a ton of research. I've even replaced it as my default search engine in Firefox. Other than that, I use Stable Diffusion for creating memes and wallpapers. Happy New Year!
Yeah, Perplexity is cool.
Happy New Year to you.
I got a year trial of it because of my weird Uber corporate whatever thing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's really good for like tell me everything about insert topic here. Right.
I, like Bobby Pin, have stopped using Google search, and one of the things that I've definitely replaced it with is Perplexity. And over the holidays, Perplexity is the one I heard about from my normie family the most. Hey, you should try out this Perplexity. It's really good. I really like it. I got that a lot, yeah. So they've reached the normies somehow for, like, you know, doing their searches and stuff.
It's the cool logo.
And, you know, even for this episode, I did a little Perplexity researching around and stuff, and it's a good product.
You 10x podcaster, you.
I did, man. I 10x this morning. I 10x in the morning, tell you what. Thank you, Bobby Pin. Appreciate that. Sen comes in with 20,000 sats as well. Longtime listener since the Stallman rap era, first-time booster. All right, thank you. I know, it takes a minute to get that going. It's a little bit of effort. I really appreciate it. Spring into action, hibernate the complexity, and rest easy. I will definitely circle back in that and engage on that further because I think that's something we should double down on. Thank you, Sen. Really appreciate that, and thanks for listening so long and setting up the boost. I assume my colleague concurs and is probably comfortable with moving forward on this.
I think we have some good action items to reconvene about, yeah.
Yes. Okay, very good. Thanks for the boost, Sen. Good to hear from you. Ty Alaskan comes in with 13,337 sats.
This is a tasty burger.
Just pump the brakes right there.
Re-Google antitrust discussion from a couple weeks ago. What if Chrome spun off as a nonprofit with a $1.5 billion endowment? Using the 4% rule, I'd get $60 million a year, enough for that would get $60 million a year, enough for 100 plus engineers. Signal gained independence this way. Mozilla is close, but Google funding does complicate things. Bezos gave $10 billion for climate, Musk $44 for Twitter, so there is some precedent. I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think
I love the idea.
$44 billion to
if it could truly be like a public good that no one tech company owned, you know?
Isn't that just Chromium?
No, it's Linux.
Ooh. Ooh.
We'll see, for now at least. That's a great idea, though, Ty Alaskan. Thank you for boosting in. I bet you I bet you there's a meaning to that boost number. You know?
Yeah.
13,300 feels very elite.
I didn't even see it.
All right.
It's pretty funny. Next caller.
AR boosts in with 8,362 sats. Don't mind me just clearing out my Albi wallet. Oh, air.
What a great way to do it.
You know, that's true. This is the best way. You could send it to a Fountain wallet or Breeze. So Albi is shutting down their like hosted version because they don't want to get in trouble with the law for hosting money. And they're transitioning to a self-hosted option, which people are kind of, some are into, some are out, like AR here. But it is just Lightning. So you could set up a Fountain wallet. You got to use the app to set up the account. But then once you have the account set up, you have a LN URL address, like an email address. And you could move the sats from Albi to Fountain, and you could boost through Fountain's website and not actually have to use the app. And then they do all the hosting with the back end. Something to consider, but thank you for considering us. Appreciate it. Nice to hear from you. Hope to hear from you in the future. Arctic Splendor sent in a Jar Jar boost, 5,000 sats.
You a boost.
Misa wish you a Merry Christmas with a little Jar Jar boost.
You a boost.
Misa loving this.
You know, I bet Jar Jar puts like Santa hats on both one of his stupid floppy ears, doesn't he?
Probably.
Yeah, but then, you know, because he slobbers like an idiot, it probably like slaps in his face and they get all wet and gross. So, you know, like a baby or something.
Jeez, just I'm sensing some hostility.
Paul J comes in with 17,305 sats.
Let's take a look-see.
He says, this is using the podcast index. Merry Christmas, guys. Here's to a great 2025. Coda Radio and Jupiter Broadcasting as a whole. Well, thank you very much. And a happy new year to you as well. Because after this, this is post-Christmas now. But did you have a good Christmas?
I did you?
Yeah, it was a little different this year. We did like different kind of scheduling and whatnot. But I kind of feel like Thanksgiving and Christmas went pretty smooth. Mostly because my wife does all the work. And I got like a couple of key roles I play. But I'm also always doing doubles. The holidays for me are like 4x the work. Because not only do you record twice the amount of shows, but you've got to prep twice the amount of shows. And you've got to schedule twice the amount of shows. And you have to arrange sponsors for twice the amount. So it really is a very, very, very busy, 12-hour days, 7 days a week, right up leading to the holiday for me kind of thing. So I don't have a lot of bandwidth, but we got it done. I think we've, over the years, we worked out a good routine. I make a killer turkey. I do, man. I have the turkey so dialed in. And then for Christmas, we did a ham. And again, nailed it. Just nailed it. So when I come in for the key things, I really come in clutch. It's been good. It's good. It's a good excuse to eat. But now we're back at it. We're back at the grind. DG at PTC also comes in with a Jar Jar boost. As you know it, 5,000 sats.
Use a boost.
Right, long term, I think AI will enable devs to use more complex languages that formerly weren't really viable due to the steep learning curves. Eventually, this should enable a generational upgrade in IT infrastructure, much like Go has been used in Docker, Kubernetes, and Terraform. By the way, why don't you guys ever talk about K8s? We have, on and off back in the day talked about Kubernetes. Neither one of us really use it. I don't think you use it in production, right?
I don't use it, no.
No. And I know it's an entire industry, so you would want is a Kubernetes podcast.
Which I have to believe definitely exists.
Must, right? You wouldn't want us talking about it as, I think happens too often in podcasting is you get guys talking about stuff tech that they maybe have a familiarity with or something, but I don't know. But I do recognize that a lot of folks use it. Very useful tool. And not one that I use, but does seem like you can make an entire career out of it. And Tampa Tech Trekkie rounds us out with 8,000 sats. I think Coda robes that have a Swift MC like patch on the back of them, those would be great. A Swift MC.
It's just hateful.
Mike can have a specialized patch that he's with a Swift bird with a martini glass pouring onto a keyboard. What I assume maybe is on a MacBook Pro keyboard. Yep. I would definitely buy one of those.
It's not a bad idea, honestly.
Not a robe. No, I can't afford to sell them and I can't afford to keep them. It's the biggest swag. The thing is I didn't want to do something that every other podcast does, like the print 1,000 t-shirts from a company that makes thin, crappy t-shirts. They like you see at the bottom of a YouTube video. I just didn't want to do that. I wanted something unique and special. I think I'm still writing that one off. We'll see. Oh, he says, and Mike can't have the Tampa, Florida rocker on his robe. I already own that. But I would be willing to license Plant City.
It's very nice.
I love it.
I'm assuming Plant City would be like a
there.
strawberry or something. Yeah.
Shout out to those of you below the 2,000 sat cutoff. Thank you for boosting as well. That rounds out. We had 19 of you stream sats as you listened to the last episode, so collectively you sat streamers stacked 45,039 sats for the show. When you combine that with the boosters, this episode we stacked 442,543 sats. Not bad at all. Let's give it a C-Quest. Thank you, everybody. Coda Radio program wraps up 2024 with a great support. This episode will go down as a well-supported episode because of you, and it is our last episode of the year. So thank you very much. Of course, you can boost in with Fountain FM. They make it real easy, but you can go all the way down to completely self-hosted peer-to-peer. Get started at podcastapps.com. I think Fountain's a lot of fun, too, because then you can create a Nostra identity, and they make it real easy. You don't have to go way down the rabbit hole to just kind of take a peek. We'll have links to that and more in the show notes. And, of course, shout out to our members as well. Thank you for supporting the show. So, Ghost TTY went widely available, and the developer noticed a bit of a trend. He posted the announcement on our Mac OS and our Linux cross-platform. And he says you could summarize the Mac OS reaction as, oh, neat, nice app. iTerm is also nice. I love choice. And he says you could summarize the R Linux as arguments about what native means, angry they have to click one link to learn what they mean, disappointed other terminals exist, and then a 50-comment discussion on the other terminals.
I mean, that sounds about right. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. That's what I thought, actually. I think developers need to understand that Linux users are peak nerd, very critical, and the most vocal are online.
Well, especially on r/Linux.
Yes, but there is a silent majority that is just grateful to have people releasing good software on desktop Linux and doesn't need to ant-F these particular issues. The developer wrote on X, I'm highlighting cultural differences here kind of humorously. I run Linux over 50% of the time, more than I do Mac OS. So I really am more of a Linux user than a Mac user. But I've noticed that Mac people just seem to be more friendly. Hey, cool, you made something, even though I'm not going to use it. And the Linux folks, they seem to go into attack mode, as if I've somehow inconvenienced them. I kind of had to laugh at that last line.
Yeah.
Now, I think you will rightfully see people in there in the thread complaining about Ghost TTY's startup time. The developer says Ghost TTY is optimized for being your long-running daily terminal.
Right. So
we can't beat startup time for other apps. GTK and it alone is slower than say, ST. It's not a design goal for us. So it's an all-day terminal, Mike.
Well, I mean, my terminal I run for days at a time. So.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, I do too.
I mean, to me, that's actually kind of a wise trade-off, right? A slower startup.
Perhaps,
I'm assuming there's a reason for it, but
especially if you would think Linux users would be glad it's using GTK and not some sort of weird...
they won't be glad. It doesn't matter what you say. Trust me.
My experience has told me that yes, that is true for a squeaky wheel small minority.
For the ones on r/Linux specifically.
Yes. Mm-hmm. But that's what developers see when they release a product because they're out there looking for the feedback.
Well, right. They're trying to promote it.
And that's where it's at.
Yeah.
And it's that's just not a great representation of what the actual Linux community is. And I've learned this the hard way about 1,000 times through Linux Unplugged, over and over and over again. So I know it to be true, but I can totally understand if you're not deep into it and you're putting something out there into the world, you're excited, you're looking for great feedback, and you see people that are, arguing about the color of the bike shed. Yeah. Just one of those, come on, guys. And they're probably not going to pay for it. I will say I was very impressed. The developer released a Nix flake and appears to be using Nix to build the back end of this. Very modern way to do it. Very cool to see a Nix flake from the go. So I'm definitely going to be trying it out. And then I'm going to give it mention because I think it's my text editor of 2025. So I want to go on the record today. Zed. I love Zed. Zed is great. And you get some free Claude credits. And you can just kick stuff in your current doc that you're editing right into Claude. Have Claude figure it out, and then spit it right back into the document. But also, it's like Zed editor SSH : / IP or DNS of your SSH server, and then the path to the file, and you're just remote editing over SSH. Nothing crazy you have to do. No plugin where you have to add the entire directory and create a whole It's just so elegant and slick, and it's fast and has lots of language support. So I think I'm a Zed guy for 2025. I think I kicking VS Code to the curb. Get it out of here, I say. As Captain Kirk would say.
Make it so.
Because now...
Fun will now commence.
I'm having some fun with Zed. So that's my 2025.
Kirk.
My last prediction is that I stick with it for 2025.
So, wait, how do they make money? Or they're just so pure freeze and freedom here?
How does the Zed editor make money?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because this is I'm looking at it, I've checked it out before, but they're really polished.
Yeah, it's good.
Interactive program. Oh my God. They got to be making money somehow.
They have a contribution guide. Interesting.
Oh, maybe not. Maybe it is just pure open source.
Yeah, I've never had an upsell.
I thought maybe they had a deal with Claude or something, to give you the first hit for free.
Yeah, they've got some sort of credits from Anthropic for people to use. It's not an unlimited thing, but
right, of course.
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah. I know. I like it a lot. I like that by the way, Zed also has a flake in their repo right here. Look at that. Boom. It's happening. It looks like it's a combination of GPL and AGPL and Apache. I see 3 different license files in the repository. I like it. Well, I'm giving a shout out to things just to wrap up. I just watched the last episode of Lower Decks, which is done now. I really encourage Trekkies out there not to sleep on Lower Decks. It's not really for kids. It's meant for people that have a pretty good Star Trek trivia set in their head, because it's inside joke after inside joke after inside joke right up to the very finale. And it's watchable with the kids. 2 of my 3 kids sit there and watch it with me, which is remarkable to have them watch a Star Trek show. They've never been interested in Star Trek before. They even get a couple of the references. So I'm going to give a plug ski for Lower Decks. It's quick. It's a fast watch because the episodes aren't that long. Only a few seasons. And then if you're looking for a little holiday reading or something to read for the new year, trying to figure out what's going on, all that kind of stuff, read this book by Lynn Alden called Broken Money. This might be the most important book for you to read this year. I'll put a link in the show notes, Broken Money. You will have your mind blown, and you'll come to a whole new understanding of how things work. And I think you could go back to this episode and play episode 601 with an entirely new understanding. It'll blow your mind. It would be a very fascinating exercise. I'll put a link to Broken Money in the show notes. It's available on Audible as an audiobook as well, and of course in the various formats. Mr. Dominic, is there anywhere you want to send people before we get out of here?
Go to alice.dev, and you can find me, username @doomnuko, on the socials. I do not post very much anymore, though. So,
yeah. I might up my Nostr usage, chrisles.com, just because I had this thought recently. Like, do I want to be using social media in 10 years? I don't think so. And if I do, I probably don't want to be on any one platform associated with any one group, ideology, or company. So if I am on any social media, it's probably going to be Nostr, chrisles.com. But of course, I am on WeaponX still. Who knows? That's also Chris LAS on WeaponX. Go find me over there. Right, I don't really tweet very much on WeaponX.
It was more Batman than Wolverine, though.
Okay,
where is she?
Right. I'll take it. I'll take it, actually. I'll take it, dude.
Even Sparkly Vampire Batman's pretty cool, so.
Especially if I get that Bruce Wayne money. Links to what we talked about, coder.show/601. You'll find our contact form there, as well as our RSS feed. And of course, you can always join us for the live show. Usually on Tuesdays at noon Pacific. Oh, almost slipped into an accent. Noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. You can catch it at jblive.fm in your player of choice, or coder.show/live. Thanks so much for being here, and we'll see you right back here next year.